Hey guys, it's Garvin Scratch, and today we're doing a valve adjustment on this 450 because when we go to start it, it doesn't start with just the electric start, and it does start by pump started, so we're gonna try to see if adjusting the valves fixes the issue. The first thing you wanna do is take off your seat and your rear fenders to access the gas tank clips and remove these front bolts right here that are bolted to the tank. This side's already off, so I'm just do the wheel to the side. Yeah, there's also like a washer thing right here that you gotta keep as well. And then now we're gonna pop these things off on both sides of the tank. And then now the tank should be, oh, we gotta remove these screws too. And then there's one on the other side, same location. Okay. Now, once you have all the bolts loose, you want to turn off the fuel and then pull this fuel line off, which I already did. Just yank it off, and then now your tank is ready to come off. Oh, we have another, oh, we have a plug. Oh, never mind, it's just lodged in here. There we go. Now we have to take off this plastic piece to get to the cylinder head, which seems kind of complicated. So first thing you want to do is remove this from there, this out of there. Got to remove these two rivets, which I'll grab a screwdriver from. Okay, now that we took those rivets out, you kind of just got to move these things out of the way. Disconnect this from the coolant sensor and just fish this thing out. Also, to remove that plastic cover, you have to remove that bolt right here. Right there, and then this plug right here. Up top. Now once you fish that plastic cover out, you remove the spark plug cap, which this one looks a little worn, but pop that off. This thing could probably use a new spark plug as well, but now you remove these three bolts with a 10mm wrench. All right, so what you want to do is once you have your valve cover off, you want to check the clearances that the valves have. So these two are the intake lobes, cam lobes, and directly under them are the valve spring buckets that you have to check the clearance. So on ours, there's none. So that means we're gonna have to do some guess and checking on that setup. But for the exhaust, which is, see right now they already have a lot of play. So what you wanna do is take, okay, so for these are supposed to be able to fit a 0.006 clearance, 0.006 like inch or whatever, but the exhaust is supposed to fit a let's see, it's a 0.11, and for this one it fits very, very easily. Well, right now we don't have it at top dead center, so you have to make sure it's at top dead center by spinning over the engine with this. But when it fits, you have to check this. But for us, we were able to fit, and you keep going down the line, so it's supposed to be this 0.011, but you keep going until it doesn't fit, and we got down to all the way to 0.5 millimeter. So that means it's way too large, and we'll show you the calculations once we're done with this. Okay, so once you have the engine at top dead center, which by doing that, you need to open up this cover and open the top of the top. Okay, see this one, this back cover, and there's a bolt, and you just put a 8mm hex in there. And then on this side, there's a cover on the top side that this one you pull out, and there's a mark with a line and then a T, and you have to be very, very slow on this side, but there's a mark with a T on it, and right now it's on top dead center. And the way you can tell is that there should be, these valves should be up and these valves should be up, which means these lobes should be pointing to the back, and this lobe should be pointing in the back as well. Anyway, but for this, now you unscrew, there's two, I believe it's 6 mil hex heads that you unscrew the top. There's a bolt on the top of the cam and the bottom of the cam, and then you zip tie it straight to the frame right away so that the cam or cam gear does not drop into the bottom end. So once you do that, you have to unscrew these bolts, and we're gonna remove those right now. All right, so what we got done was once we pulled this off, we unscrewed all these two and these two, and it just pulls straight off. There's dowels, so you have to wiggle it, or maybe even a little nudge with the screwdriver. But once you get this off, you should sit it on a paper towel like we did over there. And then there's shims on the top of each valve. So under this, and then directly under the intake cam lobe and the other intake cam lobe. And then what you want to do is pull them all out, measure them with a dial, one of those digital, well, you can have digital or manual, like those slide indicators that measure it, and then you write it down, and then you need to add the gap to the shim that's already in there, or you need to guess and check if it's, or I mean, if you can fit the shim in, you can just subtract it off, but you need to guess and check for in our situation, because both valves were touching the cam lobes at top dead center. So once we got those in, we kept checking it, had to swap these two because this one's within spec, this one is not, and they don't make a small enough shim, so that means the valve on this one is a little bit too short, or the valve seat's worn out, but that's fine. But these two are good, and this one's good. And then another thing we had to do was we put the cam gear back on because we had to zip tie it to the frame, so you cut that, put it back on, and then you have to make sure that the two lines, when the engine's at top dead center, so the lobe, it's not right now, the lobe should be this way. When this is on top dead center, the two lines should be even with the mating surface for this gasket. And then you'll have to do what Jake's gonna explain right now. And then once you have that all figured out, then you have to reinstall your timing chain tensioner, but first you need to relieve the spring pressure on the timing chain tensioner because it's locked, it has locks. So then what you need to do is use a screwdriver and tighten the flathead screw head in there, and that will bring back the tension on the spring that tensions the chain, and then you can bolt it in, and then you and then you let go of the screwdriver, and then it retensions the chain back in place. So after we adjusted the valves and put the cam gear back on, we checked all the measurements and everything checked out to be okay, and then we adjusted our decompression system, and we adjusted that to our specs because you have to do that after you adjust your exhaust valves. So we did that, put it all back together, and figured out it still didn't start. So then we checked the compression, and it was reading only like 15 to 20 psi cold. And then we were like, well, that's not right. So then we went back into the engine, checked the decompression system, and adjusted it and loosened it because it wasn't getting enough compression to start. So then we adjusted it to 65 because luckily we have a compression tester over there. But most people don't. So if it doesn't start, probably just start backing it out and turning over the engine right here. Oh, well, actually, I guess you guys can't do that. But anyway, a compression tester really helped us in this situation. But now we got our valve cover back on, and now we're gonna put this plastic piece back in, which is kind of a pain. All right, so once you get all the plastic cover in and the gas tank on, you're gonna wanna check if it starts. Right now we're in the middle of putting on the muffler, so we'll show you that after. But to put the black cover on, you need to put all the lines that you initially took off back to where they were from. And for like reference, the choke is under the tank. No, I mean the idle is under the tank right here. And then the electric lines go on the far side of the upper cover. And you're able to do it without taking undoing the wiring if you want to on the first time. You just have to twist it out like this, get it past the throttle cable, and then pull it like that to the passenger side. Once you have that on, you put the tank back on, run the fuel line, and then pop these two bolts back in. We're waiting on hardware for that, but yeah, we'll start it up when it's ready. All right, so we bolted on our new exhaust because we used to have aftermarket, but we wanted all OEM. And then we oiled the air filter and cleaned it up, so here goes nothing. And that's how you adjust the valves on a 2006 trx450er. See you next time.